Okay, so let's get right into it. When you think of the word genius, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably someone who has all the answers, right? Well, today we're going to totally flip that idea upside down because it turns out real intelligence isn't about what you know, it's about what you're brave enough to question. So, this is the big switch we need to make in our thinking. We're all kind of taught this myth that being smart means your brain is just stuffed with facts. But what psychology actually shows us is something way more profound. True intelligence is a process. It's about constantly asking the right questions and really interrogating reality itself. And, this isn't just some random habit. This whole process is powered by some pretty serious mental machinery, things like metacognition and systems thinking. These are basically the engines that drive those silent internal questions that shape truly brilliant decisions. So, let's break down what those questions actually are. First up, we have a question that is an absolute hallmark of high intelligence and, just as importantly, deep self-awareness. Think about it. For a lot of us, our first take on a situation is the final take, but a highly intelligent mind works differently. Their very first instinct is to ask, okay, what am I missing here? They just know deep down that there's almost always another layer to the story. So what's going on in the brain here? Well, this is metacognition in action, which is really just a fancy way of saying thinking about your own thinking. This one simple question forces them to check for blind spots, it encourages them to listen more than they talk, and, crucially, it helps them sidestep that huge trap of overconfidence. All right, let's move on to our second question. This one is all about perspective. It's about the ability to see beyond the immediate noise. You ever get totally derailed by some tiny frustration that just poisons your whole day? Highly intelligent people are masters at zooming out. They don't get stuck staring at one annoying little pixel. They instinctively pull back to see the entire screen, asking how this one moment fits into the larger context. And this is where the magic happens. Seeing that bigger picture lets them connect dots that are basically invisible to everyone else. It helps them see future problems coming and plan strategically, which keeps them from getting bogged down by tiny details that, in the long run, just don't matter. Okay, our third question. This is the secret key to innovation. It's what really separates the people who get stuck from the ones who have those big breakthroughs. You see, when they hit a wall, they don't waste a second blaming the wall. Their brain immediately jumps to possibilities. They ask, okay, what if I came at this from a totally different angle? They see every obstacle not as a dead end, but as a puzzle just waiting for a creative solution. This is powered by a fascinating mental tool called Counterfactual Thinking. It's the ability to run simulations in your head to play out all these alternative scenarios and outcomes. Honestly, this is the cognitive engine behind pretty much every creative solution and major breakthrough. It's why they find a path forward when everyone else has already given up. The fourth question shows us that intelligent individuals aren't just fact collectors. They are natural-born pattern seekers. They're detectives. An intelligent mind is just never satisfied with a single, isolated piece of information. It's like it bothers them. They have this deep, almost compulsive drive to understand how everything links together, whether it's a historical event or a new trend in the economy. This is systems thinking in its purest form. They see something happen, then their brain immediately starts looking for the hidden wire that connects it to something else. And once they find that link, boom, they can start to anticipate what's likely to happen next. This ability to connect ideas across totally different fields is what supercharges their decision-making. All right, number 5. Now, this one is absolutely fundamental. It is right at the heart of what we call sharp, reliable, critical thinking. It's a rare thing to never take things at face value, especially your own thoughts. But these minds, they're constantly hitting the pause button to challenge their own initial reactions. They ask themselves, wait a minute, is this thought based on facts, or is it just an assumption I haven't examined? And that is so important because this constant internal audit is what keeps their thinking incredibly reliable. It forces them to step outside of their own emotions and analyze information objectively. It makes sure their conclusions are built on a solid foundation of evidence, not just a shaky gut feeling. Moving on to our 6th question, this one really highlights the huge difference between just seeing an effect and actually understanding its cause. So, when something happens, most people just observe it and move on. But the intelligent mind has this automatic desire to dig deeper. They don't just see that something happened, they feel this pull to understand the root cause of why it happened in the first place. This skill is known as causal reasoning. It's the ability to trace an event all the way back to its true origins. This lets them map out the world in these complex layers of cause and effect, which is absolutely essential for learning from experience and, this is the big one, not repeating the same mistakes over and over. And that brings us to our final question. This is all about a relentless evaluation of evidence and just a healthy skepticism of easy answers. Intelligent people almost never accept the first answer that comes along. They're constantly running a sort of background check on information, asking if it's really the whole story, or if there might be a hidden reason or an unsaid motive behind it all. This final layer of critical thinking is basically their shield against making mistakes. It ensures their judgments are as accurate as they can possibly be, and it stops them from making those impulsive decisions that come from getting information that's incomplete, or maybe even flat out wrong. So in the end, you can see that high intelligence isn't about passing a test or how many facts you can remember. It's about a particular way of thinking. And this quote just sums it up perfectly. You do not need to know everything to be a genius. You just need to be brave enough to question everything you think you know. So I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. As you go about your day, which of these 7 questions feels the most natural to you? Which one is your default setting? And maybe, is there one you could start using a little bit more? Reflecting on that might just be the smartest thing you do today.